Just mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boy.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good time. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys would come in, say,
oh, God.
So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in a headlock, and he's sitting there. Helmet. He's punching me in the stomach, like steady punching me.
Here, and there's everyone sitting around. Who here thinks Ochinko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team
6 minutes.
for 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ochinko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I fucking saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues. I think she was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to start the show.
I don't want to eat.
Why would I have that?
You had the circus or something. What was that?
6'3", I'm late. Like I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle?
My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they're used to
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
I mean, you're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Good evening. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. That was a loud little drop right there.
You like that?
I like that. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today's Wednesday, May 17th. We have a great show for you today. It is Jay Johnson Wednesdays. The boys are out in Athens. They flew out today, and they are practicing as we speak right now. Jay, being the friend of the show and being a friend of ours, has so kindly and generously given us his time tonight at 7:15 to answer some of our questions that we have. I'm sure some of the questions that the fans may have. If you have some questions that you would like for us to ask, we will filter through some of them. We're not going to ask all of them. We're going to pick and choose the ones that actually should be asked to him. We're going to have a conversation with Jay, talk about the state of the team, the program, what's happening. What's his message to the guys? Are they panicking? I think I know the answer to that, which is no. They won last night, albeit a little sloppy. They finished the game 7-4. I will say this: they only gave up 4 runs. Their defense had some blunders. They allowed some guys to get on base. Give every opportunity to the bullpen to give up some runs. The bullpen did not. I know it's a midweek game, but McNeese is probably going to be in the postseason. I would imagine they're having a pretty good season. They finished their midweek schedule at their non-conference schedule at 23-3. It's pretty good.
Hey, this just hit me too. I was in the grocery store today.
Yeah.
It's a little story time. I was in the grocery store today, and just to give you a pulse on where the mindset of the fans are today, and not just our fans and people that tune into the show, I got stopped. And the guy introduced himself. He was wearing a White Sox hat. Introduced himself and asked me very politely, "Hey, how long do you think the leash on Jay is after this year?" I'm like, "Oh God, dude, we're
What?
calling for his head already?" It's like, Jesus.
We didn't even. You're about to be a national seed.
And that question got asked to me today, and I answered it. It was fine. Dude, the dude was cool about it or whatever.
What'd you say? Maybe next year. I'm joking.
No, man. No.
We'll get into that.
I
We'll get into
steered
that.
him away from it, but I'm just like, whew, that's
Listen.
that's
Pulled
crazy.
the man off the ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen.
People don't like losing series.
They don't.
right?
They don't like it, right? I get it. You're supposed to win those 2 series that you have lost. You didn't, right? It happens. There's different reasons why you lose games, right? Sometimes it's because you didn't hit. Sometimes it's because you didn't pitch really well. Sometimes it's because you made errors. Sometimes it's because you haven't done anything well, right? They have done stuff well all year. They figured out ways to win. These last 2 weekends have not been good. Last weekend in particular was brutally bad. The bullpen has been awful, right? But the bullpen hasn't been awful all year. The first half of the year, they were pretty good, right? They have some injuries. That's not an excuse. The guys have to figure it out and pick the other players up. And I think that you're going to start seeing that. Just because they struggle a couple times doesn't mean they can't right the ship, right? And so we're going to have those conversations with Jay today. The bullpen, I feel like, looked pretty decent last night. Thatcher Hurd comes in for 1 out with the bases loaded in the 9th inning and ends it and looks really good, ends the game. They go home with a W. It wasn't the prettiest looking win in the world, but listen, at this point in the season, all you have to do is just win and move to the next game. You have guys that are beat up. You have guys that are tired. Everybody does, not just LSU. So you just got to get through this last series. You have to regroup, right? You have a couple days off after this series before you play again. And, those next 3-4 days after, you kind of have a little bit of a time where you can kind of regroup, relax, get healthy, and, refocus going into the postseason. So I'm not worried at all. I'm not panicked. I know a lot of people are panicked. That has been the hot topic around Baton Rouge. Oh, are they going to be a national seed? Are they in jeopardy of losing their national seed? I don't think they're going to be able to get out of the regional. No way they get out of a super regional. Everybody, they're ranked number 5 in the country. They have, how many losses? 10, 11? Anybody know their exact record?
That's how unconcerned I am.
Well, I'll tell you this. They have 3 losses in out of conference, and they have 12 losses. They have 12 losses, right? They are 40-12. They're ranked number 4 or 5 in the country, depending on the poll. They are going to be okay. They're going to go out this weekend. They're going to take care of business. They're going to do what they need to do, win the series, and they're going to be a national seed. And they're going to host a regional in Baton Rouge, and they're going to host a super regional in Baton Rouge. And when you host games here, anything can happen. They're going to cruise through the regional, then they're going to get to the super regional, and they're going to be in for a battle. And that's what you can expect. And they're going to go out there and they're going to perform well, right? You have two starters who are more than capable of. Well, one for sure is going to be you know what you're going to get when he goes out there. Ty Floyd is more than capable of being dominant. He's shown that this year. Obviously, he hasn't been as consistent. Last weekend, he's been really good. The weekend before, he was great for half the game. He only gave up 3 runs. As bad as he was in that 1 inning, it was only 3 runs they got out of it. It wasn't like he gave up 8. So everybody needs to pump the brakes on these guys. Now, the bullpen has not been great. They are more talented than they have shown so far over the last 3 weeks. I believe that they are going to figure it out. They don't have to be great. They just have to be okay. That's all they have to do. Just be okay. And I think that they are more than capable of being okay. We're going to get into all of these conversations. We're going to ask these questions to Jay as he comes on. Like I said, it is Wednesday. It is Jay Johnson Wednesday. The boys are out in Athens. Let's run through the Heineken headlines. There's other sports going on outside of LSU baseball, believe it or not. The NBA playoffs are in the conference finals. Last night, Denver takes down the Lakers. It does not look like the Lakers. I mean, look, anything's possible with LeBron and
Anthony.
Street clothes over there. Anthony, whoa.
Quiet for
anything's possible. Anything's possible with those guys. And Austin Reeves, I can't forget him.
Hillbilly Kobe.
That guy's unbelievable.
He went off last night.
Off. Especially in the fourth quarter when they needed him. Off right? Night. So they have the conference finals, which has been very, very, very fun to watch. You have another game tonight. Heat they're at the Celtics. Celtics have been one of the favorites all year to get to the finals. I would love to see Jimmy Butler get in there. We're going to talk a little bit about basketball, majority about baseball, but I just want to remind everybody that there is other sports going on right now outside of just college baseball and LSU. So believe it or not, outside of this bubble, it's not just about LSU, but here it is. And we'll talk a lot about it. I just want everybody to understand, like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. We're here. It's a safe place. We can have conversation about it. I would just warn you, and I would just advise you.
You can't live your life like this.
No, you can't. You just have to understand, like, hey, not everything in sports follows a script. Whether you believe the NFL is scripted or the NBA is scripted or whoever, things don't just follow a script. Things aren't just, hey, this is how good we're supposed to be. This is what we're supposed to do. Like, there's going to be bumps and bruises throughout the course of the year. And honestly, I'm actually happy what's going on with LSU right now because it gives them some adversity. Anytime you go through these types of things, it is an opportunity for you to overcome something and be the team that everybody expects you to be, right? It's easy if you're the number one team in the country, you don't ever lose, and nothing's hard, and you go there, and then all of a sudden some adversity hits, a la Tennessee last year in the Supers, or other teams who have made that move to Omaha. God forbid something happens and you haven't gone through it and you don't know how to handle it and you just lose and it's too late and you can't get rebound from it. You're in a position now where you have all the time in the world to rebound. Like, you have one more series, you get through it. I don't care if you win every game 15-16, 16-15. I don't care if you win every game 3-1. Like, I don't care. As long as they win, right? And I think that they are more than capable of doing that. Listen, Dylan Cruz is kind of going through a little thing right now, and that's okay. I think that's good too. I think that's great because, Jared, how many times have you seen really, 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 really good players go through some slumps, right? What happens when they get on the other side of that?
Get hotter than the we'll just go hot.
They get hot.
Go hot.
So hot that you can't even give an example of how hot. Listen to me. When a great player goes through something like that and he's struggling and he's struggling and he's struggling and all of a sudden he gets out of it because of one swing, that next 3 weeks to month is going to be outrageous. And that's what I'm expecting from Dylan Cruz. Obviously, what? It is hot. It's almost as hot as Dylan Cruz is about to get.
Very
Tommy White's about to have 100 RBIs. He got 86. So he's gonna have 20 home runs, hit almost 400 with 100, probably maybe 110.
Not out of the realm of possibility, although like a very tall task of him actually doing it before they finish or at the end of this 56 game slate. Hey, look, I'll say this too, like especially in college ball, more so than pro ball, because pro ball there's a lot of movement, right? But especially in college ball, like for a head coach, for a staff, you know your staff, you know your team, you know your guys, and there really is nowhere else you can go. So you kind of got to put the trust in them, believe in those guys, and keep running them out there, right? It is what it is. Everything that was said about this team preseason is been pretty true in my opinion at this point. But I'll say this, as a fan looking outside in, what you can't do in baseball especially is live and die on every single pitch, play, error, hit, and everything that happens in the regular season. If you want to do that in the postseason,
fine.
That's 100% fine, right? Because this is no different than a 2-week, 3-week, 4-week stretch that anybody in any team probably could have had at any time throughout this entire season. Look at Ole Miss last year. Perfect playing example. They were bad the whole year. Like, they're not very good. Not very good the whole year. They were the last team into the tournament. Mind you, they were a top 5 team to start the year. And it took them until the postseason started to get going. So you just never know when it's going to happen. You never know when the cold part's going to come. You never know when those guys are going to put it together and or put it back together. Give it time. Let it play out.
Look,
it's not time to live and die on every pitch yet.
LSU's they are 17-9 in conference, right? Everybody at the top of the conference is around the same amount of losses. I think 8 or 9 losses. Like, I think Florida's got 8 losses, or maybe Arkansas's got 8.
Has 8. Yeah. Florida has 9. Vandy has 10.
Yeah. So if LSU wants to win the outright SEC, they're gonna have to sweep this weekend. right? Obviously, that would be awesome.
With some
if they
help.
did that.
But
With
that's
some
what they
help,
have to do.
right? Like the teams that are next to them or like close to them in rankings are playing each other, right? So the likelihood of those teams sweeping each other, not very good. But if LSU sweeps, they'll be 20-9, and they'll put themselves in a really good position to either just win the West for sure, but win the outright SEC. Why are you doing that?
I'm just wondering if fans would be acting the same way if the season were flipped.
I'm just wondering if the fans would be acting like you
Like if they
realize.
started off slow?
Started off slow, you lose the series to the teams that are probably the better teams in the conference, but then you sweep.
Well, you know what's going to happen.
Like
What
you said,
happened
we
if
couldn't
that's
win
the
big
case?
ones then.
Exactly.
That's what they
Or you
say.
could put it back. Just think about how the whole year has gone so far. At first, it was clamoring about, man, they just can't sweep. They don't get any sweeps. Then they start sweeping people, and then now they lose a couple serious people, and they're like, oh, they're not that good. But they're not the team we thought they were.
Here's Fire Day.
Where does this thing go?
Here's the crazy thing about like expectations and like other people's expectations of certain things. Like you look at the schedule and you look at games and you're like, oh, they're definitely going to sweep that series. And we've talked about it a lot on the show. You can't assume sweeps. Baseball's hard. It's hard to sweep teams. Like even in the big leagues, the worst team in the big leagues playing the best team in the big leagues, and you play them a 3 or 4 game series, it's hard for that team to sweep that team that's very inferior to them just because it's baseball, right? You only need one guy to throw really well to win a game. So to go in there and say these guys are going to LSU is going to sweep the teams that they're going to play at the end of the season, that's setting yourself up for disappointment, for one, right? You have to let these things play out. They have players on the other end too that are recruited to play in the SEC that are very talented, and so you can't go in there and you can't set your expectations at a level and not understand that things are going to happen differently than you anticipate. If everything happened the same way that you thought it was going to happen, you'd be Nostradamus and you'd be the richest man in the world because you could predict everything. And it's not fun that way.
No. Got to play the games.
Got to play the games, right?
And that's what I was saying. It feels like LSU is almost a victim of their own success at this point. Like, if they don't start out the way that they did. Same thing's happening to Dylan Cruz right now. Like, the only person – I'm not going to say it. The same thing's happening to Dylan Cruz right now where he started off so hot and everything when the law of averages come into play. It's what happened to Dylan Cruz. And he's still batting over 400 like you said earlier, like
right.
in our little pre-show.
Right.
What
if the 2
that
for
bad?
22 came in 2 weeks into the season? You'd be like,
That's what I said.
I don't know if he's that guy. If he's going to be the number one
Thinking
guy.
about the draft.
Right, exactly. Like, look, part of the arguments and part of people's complaints were during the season were, oh, well, LSU is the number one team in the country. Like, no number one team has gone wire to wire and won the national championship. The last 21 overall seeds have not won Omaha. Like, they were complaining. People were complaining about that or talking about that as a concern. Now they're no longer number one team in the country, and so that concern is now moved away. Now the concern is, oh, maybe they're not good anymore. They just forgot how to play. Yeah, maybe the Monstars came and took all of their talent, and they just forgot how to play baseball, and now they're not getting out of their own regional. Now they're not going to host apparently their own regional. They're going to fall in 3 weeks from the number one team in the country to outside of the top 15 or top 16.
16.
Right? So that's what people are talking about now. Now, if they go out this weekend, they play really well. Now they're going to flip it back. That's a very hard way to live your life, is to go this way. Luckily, the pulse of the team seems to be like this. They understand that they're going through some things a little bit right now. They also understand they're going to get through them. They also understand that they're still very good and they're going to win some games and they're going to move forward and they're going to get through the series and they're going to look up and be like, oh, okay, we're going to be a top 3 seed, top 2 seed in the SEC tournament, and we're going to be a top 8 national seed, and we're going to host stuff. And now everything that we want is in our hands. Like, we control our own destiny. That's the only thing you can ask for. You can only ask for the opportunity to get to put yourself. You can only ask for the opportunity to put yourself in a situation that is most advantageous for you. And to me, it's most advantageous just to host regionals and supers. Doesn't matter if you're the 8 seed or the 1 seed, right? It doesn't. Listen, we were the number 3 overall seed in 2009, and we had to host. When we hosted our super, we had to play Rice. Rice was like just outside of a national seed that year. everybody's like, damn, they kind of got screwed over. They got to play this. So you just don't know. Like, just because you're the number one overseed doesn't mean you're going to get the best matchup, right? It may think that you get the best matchup, but, I mean, what happens if you get matched up against a team like Ole Miss, who's very, very talented last year and just didn't figure it out until at the end of the season they figured it out and now they won the whole thing, right? So you just got to let these things play out. Baseball has a funny way of working itself out, and the teams that deserve to win are going to win. That's the beauty of playing series and not just one game.
Couple questions from the chat if
Okay.
you can get to them.
Yeah, go for it.
Things that I think everybody's kind of thinking, but are just kind of not reactionary. We're going to first off start off with last night.
Okay, good. I was about to get to that, so it's perfect.
Dugas.
Yep,
They're
banged up
wondering-
again.
Yeah, they're wondering about if you saw anything on the play, if there's something that they could be concerned about. Obviously, if he were to be, he's playing hurt. There's no doubt about that. And anytime you make a play where you have a shoulder injury and you dive for something, you're going to get that same feeling again. But going back to the injury report when it happened, it was there's nothing structurally wrong, but it's bruised. And so I'd imagine it's still that same kind of feeling every time he lands wrong or awkwardly. But your thoughts on Dugas and what happened last night?
Yeah, so he's hurt and he's sore. He didn't come out the game though. He stayed in the game and he finished out the game. And so that, to me, that's encouraging. I think that it's more of just hey, it's a pain tolerance thing. He's probably going to be taking it easy today. Hopefully, when he wakes up tomorrow, it's not as sore. They probably gave him some nice anti-inflammatories. Probably gave him some nice things to make his body feel a little bit better. He's probably doing some contrasting. He's doing some treatment. I'm not worried about him because this is his last hurrah. And I think that he's going to make sure that he's healthy enough to play. And I think he's proven to you that even if he's not getting a ton of hits, he's important to be in the lineup because, one, any given time he's a threat to hit a homer, right? And he gets on base at a very high clip. So even though you're not getting hits, being productive and getting on base is probably is the most important thing. And so I think he's done a really good job of that. So, yeah, that's concerning, but I don't think that it's anything serious. At least that's my take on it. What about you?
I'm expecting to see him in the lineup tomorrow night. And if that does happen, then I have like zero worry about if he's okay or not. Because at the end of the day, if he's going to go out there again at this point, like anybody can get hurt in any situation. If he's good enough to start the game, I think he's fine.
Yep.
Could really kind of care less what the percentage of how healthy he is or not. I think he's fine. I think he'll be able to play. Now, if he's not playing, then we have a different conversation.
Yeah.
And honestly, if that is the case and he's not 100% fine, because obviously he stayed in the game a little bit longer. If he's not playing tomorrow, my mindset is, well, we know for sure they're in the postseason. So I would honestly, if he's not playing tomorrow, good. Let's get him back to healthy before we actually go out there and he's not available for where it really, really, truly matters.
Right. And here's the deal. If they go out, they take care of business this weekend, the SEC tournament doesn't matter for them. And I'm not – that's –
The only way it's really going to matter, like legit matter for them, is if they lose the series. Or
Right.
worse.
So
That's really the only way.
like if they win the series this weekend, like we expect them to do, and they go ahead and they end up becoming a national seed, like they're not going to have to win games to be a national seed in the SEC tournament. I mean,
No.
So they're going to go and they're going to have a bye if they're a top 4 seed, and they're going to get an extra day off, and they're going to monitor him and say, listen, okay, are you healthy enough? I don't want to push it. I don't want you to have to dive on your shoulder and then be hurt for the regional if they already have solidified their spot as a national seed, right? Being the 5th national seed and the 3rd national seed doesn't really make a big difference. Not enough to risk the health of your leadoff guy and one of your star players just because you want to win the game. Now, I'm not saying that they're not trying to win the SEC tournament, because when you're in there, you always try to win, right? It's fun. It's a fun tournament to win. It's a really good tournament to win. You build a lot of confidence by making a run in there, but you also don't want to win it at the cost of hurting your team in the postseason. As far as like overextending pitchers or putting a guy in there and forcing him to play if he doesn't really have to play and you don't really need to win that game. I think Jay's got a pretty good pulse on that, but Jay's also very competitive, and I know that no matter what happens, no matter who's available, those guys are going to go out there and try to win every game that they play in the tournament. That's what I believe.
continuing with the tournament, ask him a no. When Hoover starts and given we make a run, how would you divide up the starting pitching and BPs per game? Do you see LSU making a run?
What's BP?
Bullpen.
Oh, nice.
Batting practice to me.
That's what I thought it was.
We didn't know. Chad Jones gets some.
How would I divide up the starting pitching? I would.
That's a question we had today anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna
want
ask.
to figure that out because we are thinking that how the pitching is, I guess, used in Hoover. It's gonna have a lot to do with what happens this weekend. You know, if they go out and sweep or win a series, we do know that Hoover does not matter to them, truly. So now it's going to be who are they paired against? Who are they possibly playing? Who do they think is going to be thrown against them? And I think they're kind of going to deploy it like that. So I think it has a lot to do with what matters this weekend. That's something we're gonna find out today if we can get an answer on some of that. But that's kind of what the thought process.
I also think that it matters on the next weekend's schedule, right? Like making sure your starters stay on that same schedule that they're used to starting, right? Whether that means
Well, you're right, but I think in fairness, I think like you take Paul Skeens for instance, whether it's game 1 or game 2, he's gonna throw one of those first 2 days.
Yes.
It's just a matter if it's going to be that first one or not.
So here's the deal: he's thrown Thursday, right? This Thursday, tomorrow. No. Yeah, tomorrow. Jesus, Mikey.
Somebody even say tomorrow.
Lock it in, Mikey. He's there. He is throwing tomorrow. Their first game in the SEC tournament is going to be, I believe, on Wednesday, right? So if they have a bye, they're probably playing, a lower seed. Maybe they throw some. They're not going to be able to go and throw Ty because Ty has less of a day's rest than he would, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how he figures out the rotation in the tournament because he doesn't want to get this guy's. And I think maybe he does keep it in line because by the time the tournament is because he has extra rest after.
And to be fair, in college ball, it's not every 5th day.
Right, it's every 7th.
It's every 7th day, basically. So you do have the extra rest, right? So it does give you the leniency to be able to move a day up and realistically move up to a Wednesday if you threw on Thursday, right? It does give you that. But like you said, look, doors open, they lost the last 2 series. So they lose the series again and you want to make sure you get to that national seed. It may mean a lot to you if you're faced with somebody's ace that you have to throw on that Wednesday to throw them, to make sure you ensure yourself getting one win and getting into the winner's bracket, right? So it may mean something. Now, if they go out and do that, and do what they need to do this weekend to take care of business this weekend, that Wednesday game won't mean as much to them in the sense of urgency of needing to get a win for style points, if you will.
Skeens has shown the ability to throw very well on that one less day rest, right? Like when we had those 3 straight weeks of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we had the Friday. Like he's done okay with that. So it's going to be the same type of thing. He's going Thursday, and he's going to have one less extra day of rest, and he's going to pitch on Wednesday. Same thing with Ty. So I don't think that we may be overthinking this thing, but this is the question that we're going to ask Jay because I think that if I had to bet, I would imagine Jay's going to kind of keep the rotation the same. He's going to keep them in that same spot, the same move, the same rotation. Skeens first, Ty Floyd second, and now Javen Coleman, who seems like he's going to be the third guy moving forward as their third pitcher, third starter, just so they keep that continuity and that rhythm.
I would imagine, just like you're saying, if for some reason, some way, we don't see Paul Skeens game 1 of the SEC tournament, it won't be one of the other guys, one of the usual suspects that's thrown. It's going to be a bullpen, like a bullpen day, midweek starter, someone else that can kind of give them like the opener kind of feel, and they run from there.
Yep.
That's what I would imagine you'll see.
Another one?
In that same vein, fast forwarding a little bit, there are some positive people out there.
Good.
And if LSU hosts the regional, how do you think LSU sets up their pitching staff? Do you throw Skeens against the 4 seed? Or would you, and then if not, who is your next man up? A long answer.
Depending. That depends on what you actually get as a draw. You never know, man. There's some 4 seeds that come in here who may have a guy.
Yeah.
Or a guy that's pretty decent, right? So in the sense of maybe if he doesn't throw those games, we can't you can't treat it like we're talking about possibly treating the SEC tournament if they were to go out and sweep this weekend.
Right.
You may need to skip in front of Ty Floyd. You may need to do it at that point.
Right.
So it depends on what you get as the draw. The next 2 weeks outside of this weekend has a lot to do with one, what they do this weekend, and then matchups from there.
Yeah,
it really does.
I agree with that. I think looking at it just in a broad spectrum, like I understand the concept of saying, okay, Skeens, you're not going to throw against the 4 seed, you're going to throw against the 2 or the 3. But what happens if that 4 seed does have a really good pitcher? What happens if you face Air Force as a 4 seed and Paul Skeens as their pitcher? You know what I mean? Like in baseball, mid-majors have these guys that are really good, right? What happens if you face
no one expected the guy from Iowa to come out throwing 100 plus?
Right, exactly.
Like we just don't know.
Depending on the matchup, depending on what their lineup looks like, I think Floyd and Skeens can beat anybody. But if you want to get through that first game without a hiccup, Skeens is your guy. That's what I think.
I think the matchup, somebody said in the chat, was possibly Nichols.
That's today. There's a weekend left.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But I'm saying if it's a team like that, if it's somebody that you've already faced before, whether it be a Nichols or McNeese or somebody in that vein.
Well, they're coming out guns blazing if that's the case.
Right. Like
not saying that you should. It's just we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
I think it's gonna be one of those 2 guys, and I think it's gonna be either Floyd or Skeens. And I think I wouldn't be shocked if it's Floyd starts the first game of the region. I wouldn't be shocked if they just keep it business as usual and put Skeens there too. It's going to depend on the lineup. It's going to depend on the team. It's going to depend on what you have moving forward.
Well, also, do you do like Marcel was able to start the first game in the regional? He came in to close it. If it gets to that game 7, do you think that's part of the decision making?
No. I mean, I don't think that.
I would. Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to see. That would be a situation
if they get to the extra one, like if they get to like the 4th game of the regional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where if they have to go to that very last game and the championship where it's the 2-0 team loses and you have to play.
Like Southern Miss did.
Yeah.
So at that point, Skeens would be available to throw an inning because that'd be technically like his bullpen day.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Would that go into the decision of him throwing first?
Possibly. Yes. I mean,
or you can even play it this way. Say you do get what you feel is a weaker opponent or opponent that you feel like you can handle, and say you do go out there and you do throw Skeens. Now I'll play with the idea of, say he throws 4 and you're up 6-0 or something like that. Do you pull him then?
Right.
Just in case you need him later in the tournament, do you pull him then or do you not?
I think in my opinion, I think you keep him in there unless you know you're going to 10-run roll him.
I would. I'm just that's a thought.
If you're up 11-0 in the 4th,
yeah,
maybe. If you're up 6-0 in the 4th, no, you keep him in there. You let him do the thing, and hopefully I don't know is the 10-run rule going to be in effect in the postseason? Does that work?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Me either. Nobody knows.
New rule.
If anybody in the chat knows, please let us know. We don't know that. I don't know that answer. I wish I did. But if it is a 10-run rule, then you just say screw it. Just keep going. You've gone through 5. At this point, throwing 5 and throwing 7, we're not gonna turn around and throw you again on Sunday. Yeah. Here's the other thing. If you do that with Paul Skeens, and you say, okay, we're getting to that last game of the regional, and we want you to come and close it out on that Monday or whatever. Well, now you're putting him in jeopardy of not being able to start that first game of the Super.
Yep.
Right, and so that's the other issue with that. Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. These are all questions that we want to ask Jay. Jay has the answers to them. We don't. I'd imagine Jay's probably not going to tell us.
No, Jay is not thinking about a regional right now.
No,
he is a little bit. But
and
not enough
and if he was,
it.
He's not giving us the answer.
No.
To that. As he should.
And we're probably not going to ask him like that exact way, but
he has an idea. Better at it.
Does have an idea.
And we can't ask him about the 10-run rule either. He'd be like, we're playing it 1 run at a time.
No doubt. What's y'all's feeling on Javen Coleman?
I like it.
Can't wait for him to. I just wanted to see how long he can go.
Yeah. So here's my thing. He has been looked good, right? He does have 9 walks and 9 innings.
Yep.
So that concerns me. I do think that he's competitive and he's competed his way through it. He's going to strike some guys out. I would like to see him not walk as many guys. Now, he is coming back off. He's only had 4 or 5, 6 outings since he's been back from injury. So, he's going to take some time. So hopefully he's kind of getting in that mode where he's a little bit more consistent. He's filling the zone up a little bit more, and he's not walking much because 9 walks in 9 innings is not really what you want.
Not ideal.
And that's not what you would want from your starter, right?
Right.
You wouldn't want to start the game off like that where he gets his pitch count up and then
Especially a guy that doesn't want to have his pitch count up because he's not going to have a long leash. Yes. Exactly. 100%.
Well, it's not even about the leash. He has a pitch count because he's.
That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's the leash. Yeah, for sure. Like this guy has they're being careful with him, rightfully so. So you don't want to waste pitches because you're walking guys, and you have to work harder to get out of these innings.
Has he been the third guy most of the year? Since he's come back, or has he only been out the pen?
He's been out the pen until last weekend.
Until last weekend. It was his first start as a Sunday guy.
His first outing, he started a midweek
game.
Inning, but
Yeah, but on the weekend,
he's been
that
out
was
the
his
pen.
first start. Yeah, and so I don't know. Staying on the topic of last night though, Blake Money looked. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked fine. I mean, I know he gave up 5 straight singles, but they're singles. Right? That started with a 2-out bunt single to start it off.
The first 3 of them were all in accounts where he was ahead too, and then I think the 4th one was in a 1-0 count, and the next one was in a 2-0 count.
Yep, and then he got out of danger by striking the last guy out. So I'm encouraged by that because you know why? He's throwing strikes, filling the zone up, and throwing strikes. If they are going to score runs on 5 straight, I will take the chances that they aren't going to get 5 straight hits. Yeah. But if you're going to walk 4 guys and then they get 1 or 2 hits, that 3-run inning turned into a 6-run inning and real quick.
Yeah.
Right? The chances of a team getting 5 straight singles are not very high.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. But you have to throw strikes to be able to do that.
You gotta play defense behind it too.
And you got to play defense behind it. Look, the defense did not play great last night. They had some weird situations happen. But I'll give credit to the bullpen and the pitching staff because they did not have a lot of help defensively, but they only gave up 4 runs.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a big thing. And LSU did what they needed to do to survive and advance. Listen, the midweek games at this point in the season are monotonous. You don't want to do them. You don't want to play them. That's part of the schedule. You got to play the teams you have on your schedule, but just don't. Give me to the weekend and give me to the postseason, please.
It's too close to not be looking ahead to.
You just don't want to do it. Just
or a regional.
Yeah,
Well,
you
it's
just don't want.
We're flying to Athens in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
You gotta lead off hitter with turf tape on. He was fired up. He's
Big
ready.
mustache guy.
Who? Oh, for
McNeese?
McNeese.
Their center fielder had turf tape on, playing on grass.
Hey.
Okay, was it actually turf
Yes,
tape or
yeah,
was
it
it
was
like the what's that tape? The therapy tape? What's that called?
It was turf.
Was it turf tape? I don't know. I didn't see it.
It was turf tape.
Okay, that's not good. I was trying to defend the guy.
Yeah, so you're defending him. We rewinded the tape 3 times just to make sure that's what we saw, and it was
Okay.
Well, they have a turf field, so it must just be a superstitious thing.
Maybe.
But dude, we're on grass. I need you to figure something else out for the night.
Mitch walks in and it's on the TV. He goes, "Oh, my man rocking turf tape."
I was like, no, I said, is that turf tape?
Yeah.
Is that what I thought that was?
But I'm saying they're getting ready. I mean, you don't put on turf tape if you don't think you're going to win.
Right.
And you got LSU, you got to get on a plane in the morning. So you're getting their best shot.
No, you don't put on turf tape if you don't think hey, I'm about to go out here. I'm playing hard.
Hard.
Hey, I'm diving for everything. I'm stealing 12 bags tonight. What's up? I'm
The
a
only
problem
person that
tonight.
I've ever played with from McNeese that could do that is still playing in the Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
That's Chase Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
That guy was a stud.
Might have been on the wrong field.
He was on both fields.
That's
He was
what I'm
on
saying.
football
Same
and
thing for this
baseball
cat.
field.
Maybe he plays football too.
Maybe. That's tough luck.
It's a tough look.
Turf tape's
Not recommended.
Turf tape's a tough look, and eye black at night's a tough look.
Not recommended.
And sunglasses. I hate the sunglasses. Can we just take the sunglasses off the hat when it's nighttime?
Like when the lights come on and the sun
Everybody
falls.
does it, and I understand it. Sometimes you forget that they're on your hat.
No, that's when they got to go back inside. They just got to go.
Especially when you're at home.
Yeah.
Especially when you're at home. When you have the locker room, let's go take that glasses off and put them in there.
I can't have you when we start a game at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the 8th inning still with sunglasses on the hat. Those got to go.
I think
Gotta
the eye black can slide. I'm fine with that.
At night?
Yeah, if it's part of your thing, like routine, I'm not changing that.
Only time the eye black is okay at nighttime is if they start off in daytime.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But even if it's a night game and you've been putting on eye black all year,
No.
Same thing with my man
Nope.
with turf tape.
Nope. No.
Saying.
If you start the game and the sun is down No reason to have eye black on.
What about the lights?
Eye black does nothing for the lights.
I don't think it does anything for the sun.
It's supposed to help with the glare, but it does nothing for the lights.
It does anything
I don't
for
think it
anything.
does anything for the sun either.
No. I just think it's a look.
Sure.
Whatever you say, dude. Whatever you say.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. We talked a little bit about Dylan Cruz.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on with him right now? As far as like, he's not getting a ton of hits. I'm not saying he's like necessarily forgot how to hit, right? But it's baseball. You go through these types of things, and sometimes you kind of get out of whack, and sometimes it's the littlest thing that does it that you just can't really, feel the feeling that you're trying to feel, and until one swing happens.
I touched on it before. This might be a little bit of a long-winded answer. This is my true thoughts of what's going on. I touched on it before. I think it's a kind of a combination of a couple things, right? Jay's talked a lot about he's the most disciplined, like just mature hitter he's ever been around. With that being said, I can think back to times where people talked about Barry Bonds, and when it was the middle of how he used to do things, he would never get pitches. He could walk 3 times a game, 2 of them intentional, and all of a sudden he gets to 1-2-0 count at 1 at bat in the game, and it's 450 feet out of the yard, right? What I do think we're talking about, which is one guy outside, you have to talk about the homers. Outside of the homers and the cheating scandal and all of that, everyone pretty much knows in the game of baseball was probably one of the best hitters that's ever walked the earth, right? With that being said, we're looking at a young kid who I personally think one thing that's kind of gotten to him, whether it's we want to believe it or not, is the struggle through the middle of the season on Gavin and not having runners on and in scoring position to where they kind of felt like they had to pitch to him does not help, right? How many times have we seen them pretty much just stay completely away from him, even though the guy behind him is hitting 390 with almost 100 RBIs? They stayed away from Dylan, right? So you put that into it, I think Gavin getting back on track will help him a ton, because that is him and Trey. So even if Trey's not on base, right? Like, let's say Gavin gets on and Trey's the guy that pushes him up. All right, well then, here we go. Gavin gets on and Trey gets on. You almost have to pitch to Dylan, right? So I think that plus the feeling of whether you want to believe it or not, like when you get up there and over and over again, you can feel people not challenging you, whether it's bases loaded and the first pitch is bounced in the other batter's box in situations where you're like, hey, I know you need to be throwing strikes here, and you're not even close. That lets me know a lot, and that keeps happening over and over again. It, in a way, kind of gets you out of an aggressive feel, and you kind of lose feel for strikes. Point blank being, let me go put you in a cage off of someone throwing BP. Let me go put you in a cage off of a machine. Let it be sporadic and spreading balls all over the place. And show me how many balls you square up after he starts throwing strikes. Or let me have a machine that's literally pumping it right in there, or a BP guy that's pumping it right in there, and then watch how many barrels you end up just hitting over and over and over again. I think it's kind of been the accumulation of all of that. And once again, I think you get to the other side of that, then things really start heating up. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing right now.
I agree, and I think part of his actual swing, by taking pitches and not having the ability to stay within, I don't want to say within your approach, because his approach is being patient, but you're also not able to offer at pitches that you want to offer at because they're not giving you those pitches. So by holding off and waiting, the only reason I'm trying to say this it's my only way I can relate to it, because I went through something similar, but I'll get to that into this point that I'm making. By taking pitches and walking and not getting the opportunity to drive the ball and do the things you want to do, kind of gets you out of rhythm, right? And then you start feeling like, hey, I don't feel good in my stance anymore. I don't feel like I'm balanced, or I don't feel like I'm getting to my spot.
You don't get
that I need to get
action
to.
feel all the
right,
time. Yeah.
Right, like the natural, okay, I'm kind of in rhythm, whatever. Yeah. So what I'm seeing is a little bit of that, because now when he is offering at these pitches, he's literally clipping the top of it, and he's hitting a lot of balls to the shortstop or third baseman in ground balls.
I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
And to me, that just means that he's just a little bit off. I'm not saying he's in between velocities, because he's not. He's just not comfortable right now in his stance or with his timing because he's not having the opportunity to offer at a bunch of pitches, right? And the example that I can give, right, and he's been walked a ton, and he's got some help in the lineup. Like, he's got some protection behind him that they just can't walk him all the time. Why are you giggling over there? Why are you smiling?
I mean, you're just getting called old.
Why?
The eye black take.
I mean, it has nothing to do with being old. It's just a tired look. It doesn't look cool. Like, it doesn't look good.
I think glare protection is, fine for the sun, but if we're going to start a game where the sun's completely down, there's no glare. If your glare is coming off the lights, it's called go to the eye doctor. That's not really.
Yeah. Anyway, but before we get to that,
you don't think Tommy's going to wear eye black in Omaha?
Well, he's gonna wear it. I just don't. I mean,
that doesn't mean I can't.
If the game starts at night, why wear eye black?
It's tradition.
Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, I don't think that considers us old. I think that's just our take on it. Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way. But anyway, to end my point, right? He's got some protection in his lineup. So, like, they can't just intentionally walk him and put him on base and just not pitch to him at all. The only thing that I can relate to, right? My junior year here at LSU, we played Auburn in a weekend series at home at LSU. Now, we were a younger team. We had some freshmen in the lineup. I didn't have Tommy White, we didn't have Tommy White have 100 RBIs. That series, do you know what my stat line was for that series? For 3 games. I was 1 for 3 with 9 walks. The Saturday game, I went 0 for 0 with 4 walks, right? Like, it was to the point where I just wasn't even trying to swing anymore because they weren't throwing me strikes. Well, that next weekend, I did not feel very good at the plate. Like, I had the mindset of, like, okay, I got to be super patient. And then the pitches that I was supposed to hit, I was a little off, and I wasn't hitting the ball like I wanted to hit it, and I felt like something was not right. And that's kind of what I feel has happened with Dylan. And I'm not saying that it's a serious thing. I think it's something that he can easily fix. Yeah. It's just, it's one of those things. Like, one swing is going to get him back on track.
Yeah. Yep.
That's my take on it. What do you got over there?
I'm just going through the chat, looking for questions. One of them was that was going to be the next one that I was going to use. He's talking about Dylan Cruz rolling over balls a little bit. If he was either pressing or if it was something in the swing. I think it's just timing. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just timing. I think that he's just a little off kilter, but that's.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's just a tiny bit of pressing in it. Like, I'm sure he's aware of how he's played this year. I'm sure he's aware of how things went through his senior year going into the draft the first time. I'm sure he's aware of that. So when the slide kind of happened a little, I'm sure he's aware. I don't think if there's a list of things that's going on right now, I don't think it's at the top of that list.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's a hair in there. I mean, he's human, But at the end of the day, knowing and seeing how good Jay is with the mental part of the game, and they're in constant communication, and knowing how mature Jay has always spoken about Dylan, I'm sure that is, if at all, it is at the bottom of it. And this is why we've always talked about on here how when you get to the end of the season and the numbers really don't matter anymore, and now it's literally about playing just to win, a lot of that stuff kind of just fixes itself, man.
Well, I'll tell you this. The one thing I've been, outside of his performance for the course of the year, the thing I've been most impressed with Dylan Cruz is he's not hitting the way he's been hitting all year. You don't notice it in the way he acts in the field, right? The only, he doesn't show it in his body language. It's business as usual for him. You don't see him slamming. The only thing he did yesterday was he hit a ball, they got to first base, and it was an error, and he was there, and he just kind of violently took his batting gloves off a little bit. Not say violently, just a little bit extra oomph behind the Velcro, and that's it. But he didn't say anything, didn't do anything, didn't pout. And to me, that's a sign of a very mature player.
Well, you can be very mature when you're hitting 450 too, so that's
no doubt.
But that would almost make it more frustrating.
No, it doesn't.
Just in a sense,
No, it doesn't. Listen, those two eyes have glanced up at the board a time or two. I promise you, whether it's been caught on TV or not, he's seen the board. It's a lot more frustrating to look up at that board when it says 220 and when it says 420. I promise you.
Or he could just go full Aaron Judge and peek in the dugout.
Yeah, that didn't happen either. I mean, that didn't happen.
Saw his eyes.
Maybe he peeked in the dugout, but what do you...
Coach, what do you think he was peeking at?
Yeah.
They 1,000% had the signs. 100%.
He wasn't looking at the catcher,
The
though.
pitcher said he was tipping his pitches in an interview after the game.
The pitcher was tipping his pitches. Well,
I saw something
pitcher
about
said
that. They
that
basically broke it down and said the catcher was tipping it really early by the way he was setting up, and so they said he was looking. They basically tried to explain it, saying he was looking at the first base coach because the first base coach was relaying it.
that makes more sense. That makes more sense.
That's what our first base coach would do.
But that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's the gamesmanship.
People outside of baseball are so on. They're so on high alert for cheating now that
Yeah.
they don't realize what's the difference between cheating and gamesmanship.
Hey, funny.
The first base coach picked it up. When
Yeah.
the game set, he would come set up here, and the guy could see the grip.
Well,
Yeah.
they could see the grip here, and the catcher was literally like on a knee as he's like early setup. He's showing it, all of that. Like,
that's
they're
good.
relaying that.
It's not like you're stealing from the catcher. It's funny that we say that because there was a video that one of those the catching guy on Twitter, on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. You know who sent me this? Jacob Catrera.
Oh,
sent
really?
me this. He sent me this. He goes, "Is this you?" It is a video. I am
Of Mikey cheating. No, I'm just kidding.
basically that's what I was accusing me of. Talking about how savvy and how great JT Realmuto is, which he is. One of the best catcher, probably the best catcher in the game right now. So we're playing Philly, and I think this is in spring training. And I'm at the plate, and I'm like, if you've ever watched me play, I try to be very deliberate and very like slow in my like setup. Like I'm here, and then I try to like focus on something ahead of me when I come up, so I keep my body in the position that I want. And especially when I'm not feeling good and I'm trying to really feel it, I'm even more deliberate. So this video, I come back real slow, and I come like this. Well, the guy is critiquing me, saying that I'm trying to peek at JT's signs, and so he's like, "Look at the catcher right here. He is looking up at the hitter because he's coming set really slow, probably trying to see where he's located or what pitch is at, and then he's waiting for him to come set before he puts the signs down and locates." Which he was, but it wasn't because I was looking at it, but he was just being savvy in the situation. So I'm like, I looked at him like, damn, this guy. And then people in the comments were like, he should have got fastball to the dome, like all this stuff. And so I commented, and I was like, I wish I was smart enough to cheat and look at that. But honestly, the reality of it, I probably didn't feel very good. And I was probably trying to feel my setup, and I was just trying to be very slow and deliberate about it. And so it went back. It wasn't confusing me, but it's very funny that you said that.
It's funny, and I'm a firm believer of if you are a catcher and you are the ones that like they're seeing your signs, that is 1,000% on you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should stop trying to quick pitch it and push this thing along and actually keep your eyes on him until his eyes are up, and then give your sign. Like that's not really.
And JT's a great dude. Like I've known JT since we came up playing against each other, and like then we played together in Tampa. I mean, in Philly. So like, he didn't. If they thought I was doing that and I had a reputation of doing that, I'd be hit a lot more than I've been hit. Yeah. But that was just, and so it's funny because it's the Aaron Judge thing, looking. But
And then the announcer said he should take one to the dome. Told Gossman to hit him.
those announcers in
They're hammered.
in Toronto they're a lot.
Who are the guys there? One of them's got to be an
Is
ex-player,
it Todd
right?
Zeal?
I was about to say I don't know, but one of them's got to be an ex-player.
Yeah. They're two baseball guys. I think it's Todd Zeal. At least it was. Because I remember JP and Stevie got in a bunch of trouble when he was playing in Toronto because he said they were critiquing, like, obviously the Blue Jays and how they weren't playing well and all this stuff. And, JP's not one to hold his tongue.
Yeah.
And so JP comes out in the media in Toronto. There's no team in Montreal, so the only team in Canada is Toronto. So, like, it's everywhere. And he basically comes out and he talks about the announcers. And he talks about, forget the other one, but one of them, he's like, one of them is a hack wannabe, never done that before in his life guy. And the other guy is a cheater who got caught with steroids back in the day. He goes, so anything that they say, I don't listen to anything that they say, basically. Like, obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but he got hammered for it. I want to say it was the beginning of his end in Toronto.
I kind of think it was.
Yeah.
I remember, though. I didn't remember exactly what was said, but I remember it was, some media kind of stuff that kind of came out, and that wasn't good for him.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
We actually do have another question that I think we kind of talked about it before the show. From Josh Giraldo. It was just all one word, so I was trying to phonetically
Figure
sound
it
it
out.
out.
Yep,
Yeah.
nice.
Can we agree that over the past 4 to 5 weekends, Jones has been an automatic out? I think he's going to be great, but he has regressed dramatically.
He has struggled.
And he hasn't been in the lineup recently.
And he hasn't been in the lineup, and I think Jay's seen that. He's a freshman, right? Like, he is going through a lot. Like, listen, baseball is a game of adjustments, and teams are starting to have the book on him, and when you're good enough to execute that game plan against them and be consistent with those pitches, unless the guy makes the adjustment at the plate, they're going to keep doing it until you prove they can hit it, and he hasn't right now proven that he can make that adjustment, and that's okay. This is a hard game. It's a hard league, and he's a freshman. He's going to be very good. I mean, he has 14 home runs on the year, so he's still got the ability to drive the ball out of the ballpark. He's going to be an integral part of the team going in the postseason. But right now, Jay has noticed it, and Jay has taken him on, put him on the bench, and taken a step back and say, "Listen, let's iron some things out before I put you back in there."
Yeah, yeah, he has, and Jones has notably struggled, like we said. I do think these are very, very, very touchy situations for a player in those situations, because I do think he probably needed to take a step back, take a deep breath, kind of work some stuff out before he gets an opportunity to get back in there. But the conversation of how that goes, if there is one, or if that's the touchy part, because you don't want to leave players guessing as to, damn, he doesn't like me anymore, or he doesn't think I could play anymore. And you want to be able to kind of have that open communication and being like, hey, look, this is what I need from you, whether it's in a nice way, whether it's in a mean way, however it comes, like, this is what I need from you, and this is what you need to do to be able to get back in. And until you do that, well, it's gonna be spotty for you to see playing time. And I think if you do a good job of having that conversation, he will be a very big part of what they're going to do, not only in the future, but the rest of the season as well. But if that message was not conveyed very clearly, you may have some way lost him for the rest of this year at least.
Right.
And we'll see.
Yeah.
But
knowing his personality, I don't think
knowing his personality and knowing how it seems like he's been with the team, I think they've had that conversation, and I think everything's still good and all that situation. It's just the right time will arise and the opportunity will present itself, and I think when that comes, I would imagine Jared will be ready for it.
But he's come on this show. He's a self-admitted scoreboard watcher, where he's like, "Damn, does the same thing that you're talking about when Dylan Cruz."
Coach, let's just be honest.
Let's
be honest. At the end of the day, self-admitted or not, especially when, like in 2023, when pretty much every stadium you go in has the amount of stats it has on the board, everybody's a scoreboard watcher. I don't care if they want to tell it to you or not.
You can try your hardest not to. I used to turn my back away every time they would announce it, so I didn't see it, no matter how good or bad I was doing. But you still see it.
But that was then, though. But now it's literally everywhere. Like, say you get up to the plate, you can't look in either center field. Like, if you play at LSU right now, and I get up to the plate and I take a pitch, whether I'm standing right-handed or left-handed, wherever I'm staring, there is a scoreboard with my numbers on it. Unless I'm literally looking down or looking into the stands behind home plate, like, you're going to see it. So it is what it is. So being self-admitted to me doesn't really matter, because I know for sure the ones that tell you, no, I never look at it. I know you're full of shit.
Right.
You've looked at it.
Right.
I promise you
Right.
have. And if you don't look at it there, you're probably the first one, as soon as you get home or in your car, that pull it up on your phone and looking at it. So, like, that doesn't really mean anything to me. I know they've seen it. He knows where he's at, which is, to me, a good thing. I like people who are aware of what's going on and how they are, especially if you're going to be honest about the situation. So I would imagine that him and Jay have had that conversation, and I think good days are ahead of him. But, yeah, he's going through it. But that's baseball.
That's baseball.
With that in consideration, do you think that you see more Travinski at first base?
Maybe that's a question that I also want to ask Jay, because there's been so obviously you had Trey at first, beginning of the season. Then Jared Jones hit his way into the lineup at first base. Well, actually, he hit his way into the DH spot. Cade Beloso then hit his way into the DH spot to move Jared to first, right? Then Jared kind of hit his way out of the lineup, and Cade Beloso has hit his way into the lineup, so he played a little bit of first. Then they put Travinski at first last night. Then, about 2 weeks ago, they tried to put Jobert at first at the end of a game to see what he could do over there. So there's a obviously he's trying to find out who he can put in that position to get other bats in the lineup if necessary. So yeah, you could see him at first base. Obviously, you have him and Milazzo in the lineup at the same time. We talked about this before. You can't DH one. They both have to be in the field.
As long as Brady's still not active.
Right.
You can't put them both.
Because you can't lose a catcher spot.
Right.
You can't lose the DH spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if Travinsky keeps hitting homers and with the bat drop, which is awesome, I love his bat drop. He's gonna keep earning his time in the lineup, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I think that you can see him maybe have some more opportunity to play first. I think you're gonna see Trey in left right now for the foreseeable future. I don't see him moving back to first base unless it's like late in the game and they need him back there defensively. But I think that's kind of what you can expect to see moving forward. I do want to preview the Georgia game before Jay gets on here. So we're going to take 1 minute. Let me try it again.
Lock it in, Mikey.
We're going to take a 1 minute break. And then when we come back on the backside of this break, we're going to preview this LSU Georgia weekend starting tomorrow. Before we go on break, though, I do want to give a shout out to Heineken. Heineken Silver. I saw a commercial for them the other day.
I did too.
They're pushing it. They're not like Miller Lite right now. They're not like Bud Light right now. They're not in the controversy. They're just making this way. Look, they're talking about it. It's in the stores. People are getting it. We're drinking it. It's really good. You should give it a shot. Don't knock it. 95 calories, 5% alcohol, 4% alcohol, not 5. 4% alcohol, 95 calories. It's actually very refreshing, very light, very crisp. Put it in the ice chest. Look, it's getting hot. It's summertime, boys. It is.
Yeah, you see all these rain showers?
It is, yeah. Yeah. A lot of rain showers, a lot of heat, dude. It is hot. Postseason baseball is right around the corner. The beach season is right around the corner. Memorial Day is right around the corner. Give Heineken Silver an opportunity. All anybody can ask for is an opportunity in this world, Lloyd. So give Heineken Silver an opportunity. Put it in the ice chest. Put it in the rotation of beers. And see what happens. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Shout out to Heineken Silver, partners of ours, sponsors of ours. We appreciate the support, and they make a great product.
Not a bigger advocate for Heineken than me.
Absolutely, you do it every Friday.
Proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding. Good luck too. It's good luck. It's good luck, chugs.
Might have to do two.
It's nice. It's packaged nice in the can. All right, we're gonna take 1 minute break. We'll be back in 1 minute with Mik'd. Heineken Silver for the game, maybe?
I kind of want one now.
You gonna shotgun another one?
You want another? I don't know if you should shotgun because we saw how that one last time.
I don't know. I feel like you got to redeem yourself.
You can have a drink. I don't think you should shotgun it.
The way it went,
I'll enjoy this one.
I think you should chug it, but maybe not shotgun it.
The way it went last time, it's...
Yeah, I can do. I can do anything. I know. All right, fuck it.
All right, go ahead. Go for it. There.
Oh, that was much better.
1, 2.
Open it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
9.
Okay, it's 10, now it's starting to drip. 11, now you're struggling a little bit.
12.
It's pretty good.
13. It's not bad.
I'll give you 12 and a half seconds there. How was it? Was it good?
Delicious. You can't do that
with a regular one.
With a regular one.
Right.
You can only do that with the silver.
With the silver. Why? Because the silver's lighter. It's got 95 calories. It's pretty crisp. That wasn't even cold. I know you don't necessarily need a cold beer. That was room temp.
That's
I respect how quickly you turned around and gave me a full sentence. That was quick.
Oh, yeah. Officer, I'm fine.
You've been around
straight
before.
line, kid.
Yeah. You've been around before, but
it's just breakfast.
It's a very good beer. It's a very light beer. It's something that you can...
Easy to drink.
Easy to drink.
Easy to pour,
yeah. But it's something that, I think it should be in the rotation at tailgates, especially with LSU baseball coming up. We'll get into some of the LSU baseball conversation. Dozy Place is located on 3723 Government Street. Everybody knows about their Wall of Fame steaks and their hot tamales, but what you may not know is that they're open for lunch every day from 11 to 2. Great people, great environment. Their lunch menu is fire. What's the best thing on the menu?
If you haven't tried it yet, you need to try the burger. Unbelievable. Best burger in town.
Best burger in town. If you're looking for lunch, 11 to 2 at Dozy Place. Again, they're located on 3723 Government Street. Give them a shot. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We are going to preview the LSU Georgia series before Jay comes on. Jay's supposed to come on here in about 7-ish minutes. Obviously, they're at practice. Hopefully, the practice went well and it's over with. But we're excited to talk to him. We have a bunch of questions to ask him. We have a bunch of conversation to have with him. But before he gets on, we're going to still talk about baseball, LSU Georgia series, preview a little bit. But Jay, you got something you want to say, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're here. We just, gave it on the front end. We'll give it on the back end of the commercial, but just give a little bit of love to Peretti Land Rover over there, right? Our people over there helping us out, being a part of it, being partners, being sponsors. If you get a chance, please go over and see him. Lloyd has been so kind to put their number on the ticker
and their
here.
address. If you can't,
Number
don't have Google.
There you go. Go over there and check them out a little bit, man. Look, they do a great job. They're great service, great product, great people. Why not?
I think you'd be shocked to see what they have to offer you as far as everybody thinks, Land Rover, Range Rover's out of my budget, can't do it.
That's not all they have there.
Let's go give them a shot.
Yeah.
Go give them
Go
a
check
shot.
them out. There's a lot
Look
going
at
on.
that. Look at that.
That's what we're taking to the SEC tournament, right?
Sure.
Yeah. We're gonna actually put you in the trunk of the sport, actually.
I got to put the equipment back there.
Yeah. Well, you gotta put the equipment on top of you.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll get a turtle.
Yeah. There you
I'll
go.
in there.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. LSU plays at Georgia tomorrow, right? It looks like another team is pulling the
Switcheroo.
pulling the Lloyd strategy here. And
Don't knock it till you try it.
freshman left-hander Jarvis Evans starting against Paul Skeens tomorrow. Paul Skeens, obviously, everybody knows his numbers. He's 10-1 with a 1.69 ERA, 79 innings pitched, and 152 strikeouts. For reference, Jared sent us the numbers of our 2009 team of the Stars. Now, we had 2 All-Americans. We had the SEC Pitcher of the Year on our team, plus another first-rounder as a Saturday guy. Lewis Coleman, that year, had 129 innings pitched. He struck out 142, which is really good. Right? He had a 2.93 ERA, SEC Pitcher of the Year. Great. Anthony Renato, first-rounder, All-American, had a 3 ERA. Now, bats were a little different. Now, actually, bats were different. Balls were way different than they are now. So I think it's pretty equal.
No, I would say the biggest difference is the way the swing is taught right now.
Yeah.
But as far as for what you got like off of the bat, pretty equal. I think.
So then my next comparison is Renato, who is
work.
a
lot
lot of high
King
T,
Griffey T.
a lot of here and out the zone.
A lot of that King Griffey T. I can't believe Ken ever. You don't remember the Ken Griffey T?
Yeah, but like if you really look at it, he went down through it actually.
Coach, go back and look at
The
that.
T, I can't help the T. But his swing was not like that.
His swing wasn't.
His swing was not like
That's
that.
why I'm saying I can't
Yeah.
believe he ever endorsed that T.
Right.
Because that
right.
T is ridiculous.
Look, money, coach.
I don't think he looked at that thing once.
So Renato, 124 innings pitched that year, struck out 159 guys. I think he's third all time, maybe second all time, in
Right
strikeouts in a season. Behind
I think Skeens just I think
Skeens
he's second
at
on top.
152,
Yeah.
so he's 7
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
him, right?
yeah.
But he's also only thrown 72 innings. So
He's thrown half the innings.
half the innings that Renato threw. So you obviously know what you're going to get with Paul, right? You're facing a left-handed pitcher. He's 2-0 with a 4.67 ERA. He's only got 17 innings pitched. Look, he struck out 21 guys in 17 innings, only walked 5. He's a freshman. It seems like they're doing that strategy where, hey, we're going to concede the game 1 and we're going to try to win games 2 and 3. Now, Ty Floyd's been throwing really well. He's got 4.5. He's 6-0 with a 4.5, 59 innings pitched, 69 punchies. He's going against another lefty who has a 4.5 as well, 44 innings pitched, 45 strikeouts. And then you got our sophomore, Javen Coleman, throwing on Sunday against their junior, Liam Sullivan. They don't have a pitcher in their rotation that has a sub-4 ERA. What?
The Instructo T.
What are you doing?
I was looking for the Ken Griffey T. It's hard to find.
Oh.
Can see why.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
No, but they're throwing 2 lefties or 3 lefties, I think, and neither one of those guys have like stellar numbers. But LSU, I'm not saying they struggle with lefties, but they haven't scored a ton outside of that Sunday game. Like they didn't score a ton last Friday. They didn't score a whole bunch on Saturday. They only scored 7 runs combined in those 2 games. They scored 13 on Sunday. You got to win that one. They didn't. But you're playing against a Georgia team who's fighting for their postseason lives. They have a freshman who's got 20-plus home runs. Like, they are a dangerous team. It's a stadium where the ball flies, and it's a bandbox. So anything can happen. It's a little dangerous. But at the end of the day, LSU is the better team. They're the more talented team, and they should absolutely win the series. That's my take on the series.
Somebody in the chat did ask, what do you think of Georgia throwing 3 lefties as starters back to back to back?
I mean, it's obviously a strategy. You know, they see the numbers and they think that that's their best opportunity to get 2 out of the 3 wins. I'm not as sold on that. Obviously, you don't see as many lefties as you do righties. And these guys don't have numbers that feels like they're gonna just blow by you and strike you out and do all these types of things. So, I think that you're gonna see a big weekend from LSU. I think you're gonna see a monster weekend from Dylan Cruz, and I think you're going to continue to see a monster season. He's had a monster season, but I think you're going to see a monster weekend from Tommy White. I think those 2 guys are going to have, like, National Player of the Week type of weekends. That's what I think.
I think you'll continue to see Gavin kind of keep coming on.
Yeah.
That shoulder's good. I think you're going to see him, like, really, really, really get this thing going.
Yeah.
And when that does happen, I imagine that's going to be good for the 2 people you just talked about. So that's what I kind of see thinking.
I see Lloyd drinking this weekend.
I do. Lloyd hadn't had a booze cruise in a minute, huh?
Parched. I hope that because I
hope you get about 5 of them this weekend.
I stay sober for the whole game. That's my punishment. So Dylan doesn't even know he's doing that to me. I just sit there and stare at the bottom.
Dylan's got, what, 13?
Something like that.
I think he ends this weekend with 17.
There's a weekend?
He is 4-3.
That would be awesome.
I think that's what happens.
Like that in Tuscaloosa last
Oh,
year,
man.
He had like 3 or 4.
not
He's going to have a multi-homer
You don't see me rooting against it, I can tell you that.
And I'll be on the golf course, too.
He's going to make up for lost time, hit 4 this weekend.
He's going to get 4 this weekend.
I'll be slizzard. Oh, well. It
I've
happens.
seen him do it.
Nothing you haven't done before, Lloyd.
Yeah, I mean, it's
also nothing Dylan hasn't done before.
Yeah. This is what he needs to train with, boys. Get him back in the lab.
If he does that, I think you're looking at a team that'll possibly sweep. You think people will be back on the wagon going into the postseason?
Well, I'll be back on the wagon.
Look at that thing.
That's look down to the ball
and then
really get on top of it, and then you get the backspin.
That's
to the
the definition of the overspin line drive.
Yeah, backspin to the net. Like,
make
sure that you're perfect on that.
I think my guy from Mississippi State probably loves it.
Oh yeah. Dude, don't let him see this.
They won that game.
He might bring him back out.
That's a tough, that's tough right there.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
I couldn't hit that. I think I'd hit
I
the
feel like that's practice to hit fungo.
I mean, it's literally telling you, when you're in the hitting zone, I want you to be straight downhill and meet the ball at the perfect spot.
So wait, what happens? My question is, what happens if that ball is up?
No, we just move it up. You see that? You see that little nozzle down? Yeah.
Device?
Yeah. So we work on the up ball. Yeah, exactly. We got to be
little sword.
That thing is telling you to be perfect. Like if you're not perfectly on time with that right there, it's gonna be tough, coach. You might hurt your wrist going through that zone.
Imagine sending your kid to a lesson and dropping him off, and that's what they have. You're like
sitting at the plate
waiting on him on the bucket, hand in between his legs.
Refund.
That's tough.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I need a refund.
Hey, Griffey did it.
They say. So they say.
So we're waiting on Jay. Hopefully Jay doesn't stand us up.
I think he's
It's not standing us up.
He might be on Amazon purchasing
He's busy.
this tea.
He's busy. He's coaching.
Yeah, he saw the tee. He's like, oh, we need that.
Yeah.
That's how we're gonna.
We'll go through the weekend while we're waiting on him to get here, since he's almost here.
So
big
oh yeah, SEC.
We got Florida. We got Florida at Kentucky. Who do you got there?
Well, for the sake of LSU, I would like to see Kentucky take 2 out of 3. Kentucky's playing for a national seed.
Well, Kentucky only needs 1. If we sweep that way, that's the only way we can win outright.
Yeah.
Kentucky just needs 1.
Yeah.
I think Florida wins the series but doesn't sweep. That's what I think happens. It's at Kentucky.
Before we go through the whole SEC, can you set up the best case scenario for LSU or what they have to do to win the regular season title?
LSU has to sweep. Vanderbilt take 2 out of 3. Kentucky win 1.
Pretty good right there.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt has to sweep.
That's the scenario.
Yeah,
so give me the matchups.
If LSU does not sweep, they don't have a chance to win.
Right.
Not outright. Yeah, they don't because of the half game.
Yeah.
But so LSU has to sweep. Arkansas is at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt needs to take 2 of 3. And then Florida's at Kentucky. Kentucky needs 1 game.
There you go. I believe that is accurate.
So I think I got Florida winning the series at Kentucky this weekend. Then there's Arkansas at Vandy.
Vandy's only lost.
And Vandy's kind of struggling a tad.
Yeah, but they're also like
Big weekend.
they've only lost like 1 or 2 SEC games at home.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna take Vandy.
And
winning
Arkansas
that
just
series.
lost another guy, their
Still
second
lost.
baseman.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Vandy winning that series, not sweeping.
Okay. Winning the series. So that means Arkansas will have, 11 losses?
So you're playing like exactly what we need.
No.
That's what you think is gonna happen.
Arkansas will have 10 losses.
Yeah.
And Vandy will have 11.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have
Yeah.
8 losses right now, right?
Yeah.
Who does? Arkansas.
Arkansas.
So then we got Tennessee going to South Carolina. I see Tennessee.
Coach, Tennessee could sweep them right now.
I literally was about to say I
See, but
wouldn't be
Tennessee's
surprised if
2-11
they
on the
swept.
road.
But it is
True.
at South Carolina where a game can get away from anyone really
And
quick
Tennessee's
because
not
it's
great on the road.
because it's a
But
bandbox.
South Carolina stinks right now.
So I'll go Tennessee 2-3.
Okay.
So the South Carolina struggles continue.
Then we're talking about A&M at Mississippi State.
Mississippi
I'm gonna
State's
go-
trying to make Hoover.
They are trying. I'm going to go A&M winning the series.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Missouri at Auburn. Auburn may mess around and sweep that series.
What's Auburn's record?
What is it right now? Because that I don't know.
The SEC record, does it not have it on there?
No, it's just a schedule for the weekend.
They are, I believe they're 14-13. I know they're 14-13. If they sweep and they go 17-13 in conference, Auburn's going to put themselves in a position maybe to be a top 16 seed.
Yeah. Yep.
Is he there?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Love that.
Getting set up.
Auburn's 14-13 right now.
Yes, what's it?
Yeah.
So if they sweep, they'll put themselves in a position.
Who's Bama play?
Bama's got Ole Miss at home, and I think Bama goes at least 2 or 3.
Because
cares
they're
about that?
13 and 14.
Who cares about that one? All right.
Bradbo, man.
We're gonna take a little bit of a break. Jay is in the on deck circle. We're gonna get him situated, then we'll be right back. You're watching Miked Up. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Steaks and their hot tamales, but what you may not know is that they're open for lunch every day from 11 to 2. Great people, great environment.
can you hear
The
me?
lunch menu is fire. What's the best thing on the menu?
If you haven't tried it yet, you need to try the burger. Unbelievable, best burger in town.
Best burger in town. If you're looking for lunch, 11 to 2 at Dozy Place. Again, they're located on 3723 Government Street. Give them a shot. Welcome back to Miked Up. Like we do every Wednesday, we have the privilege and the honor to have a conversation with the man leading the charge, Coach Jay Johnson. They just got off the field in Athens, Georgia, so we appreciate your time, Coach. We're not going to keep you long. I know you got a lot of things to do, but again, thank you so much for coming on the show. How's Athens? It's a little bit of a bandbox over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it seemed like it in batting practice, and that's not such a bad thing for our team. So, yeah, nice weather. It's not hot. It's not humid. It's really nice, and yeah, ball is carrying.
Love that.
Don't be getting any ideas.
What does that mean?
I'm just saying, weather's nice here too, Coach.
Oh, that's very hot over here, actually. Very hot.
Makes you tough.
Coach, let's jump into it. So last night, obviously, was the last non-conference game of the season, last midweek game of the season. Y'all won. Y'all beat McNeese 7-4. McNeese is obviously a really good baseball team. They have a really good record. The game wasn't played defensively. It wasn't played probably up to the caliber that y'all wanted to. But coming off of a weekend at Mississippi State where the bullpen didn't pitch very well, they come in last night and kind of weathered the storm of having some miscues defensively and only gave up 4 runs, was able to get out of trouble. What did you like from your pitching staff and your bullpen in particular last night?
Yeah, we had a meeting before the game, and Wes is entirely in charge of those guys. I just met with them, and we just made 2 objectives for moving forward. Number one is when you come in the game, we're bringing you in to get the first guy out. Like, there's a reason we're bringing you in at a certain time for a certain matchup and whatnot. So we reshuffled the deck, restructured some routines of what they're doing in the bullpen prior to coming into the game to be ready to go. For sometimes that's throw more, throw less. For the hyper intense guy, it's probably a little bit more about breathing. For the casual guy, it's probably about getting ramped up a little bit more. Make sure they're incredibly dialed in with the report. We always try to communicate what we need them to do when they come in the game, while they're warming up, those types of things. So to be really good at that. And we used 5 pitchers. 4 of the 5 guys got the first guy that they faced last night. So that was great. And then secondly, and more importantly even than that probably, is we just got to get a little bit better reset when something goes bad, whether it's a walk, an error, a bad umpire call, or a hit, and just kind of keep everything small. And Blake Money did it a couple times. Griffin Herring walked a guy and got through it. We made 2 errors in 1 inning behind him, and he kept it at a 1-run inning. So 1 run in 3 innings for Griffin. Gavin Guidry got a 2-0 count and was able to rebound from that and strike 2 guys out. And then Thatcher came in and blew the doors off the guy to end the game. So I was very, very pleased with those guys last night. It was a really good effort.
Coach, you mentioned Blake Money. Obviously, he started the game. He threw, I think, 3 innings. He threw 2 2/3, and he was, cruising through it. And then he gave up, obviously, the bunt single. But what I liked a lot from him, he gave up 5 straight singles. They weren't a couple line drives to center, but they weren't anything crazy. And he just kept battling, He ended up striking the next guy out to end the inning, right? It's like, I'd much rather, at least on my side, someone say, I'm going to compete, I'm going to throw strikes, and the likelihood of a team getting 5 straight hits isn't very high if you're not walking guys. But I was impressed to see him, give up those 5 hits, gather himself, regroup, and then punch that guy out. I know you mentioned it, but that's got to be pretty encouraging for you to see.
Yeah, for sure. He's quietly done a nice job for us. I thought he threw strikes. I thought he set a good tempo. We had a 3-0 lead after two innings, largely because he went out there and was really efficient in what he was doing. And then he got the first 2 guys out. And, we made a decision to go ahead and give the drag to their 4-hole hitter who has the most power and, can drive the ball. And with 2 outs, you kind of need to get to second base for their offense to score. So we went ahead and gave it to him, thinking that it's highly unlikely that they were going to get, 3 or 4 hits in a row, let alone 5. But you know what? I'm fine with Blake's performance. I thought he competed. I thought he threw strikes. If he can give us more of that, that's a really good thing for our team.
Coach, so organically, there's things that you can't control, and you can speak on it as much as you want. It kind of, I won't say it goes by the wayside, but there's just some things that are out of your control. You spoke about guys being able to re-energize with the 2 series losses coming at pretty much the best time for you to be able to re-energize right at the end of school. Are you hoping for the team to be able to kind of jump forward and kind of put that stuff behind them as well as the ending of school and be able to kind of reset, re-energize, and kind of push themselves forward through the rest of the season?
Well, I think the end of school is great. I think it takes away – I don't want to call school a distraction because that's partly what –
But there's a lot going on at the end of it.
Well, we're trying to do some really big things here, but that's a stressor. We'll call it a stressor that's off their plate now, which I think is good. As far as the baseball, we just want to play well. Yeah. That's the most important thing to me because we have talented players, and if we play well, we give ourselves a chance to win, and that's why we've won 40 games. And sometimes, like last night, I thought we pitched well. I didn't think we played particularly well, but we still found a way to win. So this team has some of that. So we want to play better, and we're working on every ounce of that. I mean, it's game 50, and you would have thought, today was more like a spring training day in terms of what we were doing and trying to execute and practice. And that's just the way we're going to go about doing it. But these guys compete, they play hard, they care a lot, hit a little bit of speed bump in the play, which had been very consistent, and just working to get back at it.
I mean, you got to for me, at least, I'm not obviously around these guys all the time, but going through a season and not having too much adversity outside of the injuries, these last 2 weeks, this shows you a lot about the character and the personality of your team, right? We've talked to a few of the guys. We've talked to Jamie came on and talked a little bit about analytics and all these types of things, and everybody has the same message, and it doesn't feel like it's fake. It feels very genuine where, hey, we're not worried. We understand it. They're going to get through it. Hey, mental toughness. We've been preaching this all year. And it's got to be, I guess, nice on your side. You don't want to lose games by any means, right? I get that. But it's nice to see these guys respond the way that they are responding in light of this adversity. And now there's finally some pressure being put on them as far as, okay, maybe they're not as good, but the way they're responding has got to be very encouraging.
Yeah, for sure. And not a surprise. I mean, a lot of the core of the team was here last year. Right. And, we fought through some adversity there and had a pretty good season outside of going to Omaha. So they know what it looks like, how to do that. We played a very veteran lineup last night, just from the standpoint of we got to try to get guys that can settle into the game and overcome things. And I think it paid off in yesterday's game, and was very pleased with that. But, yeah, the mindset piece, we're very clear on what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And we're just in a deal where you get tested, 10 weeks in a row. And, it's can't be better explained than the defending national champions not even going to the conference tournament, and it might be the last two defending national champions not at the conference tournament. And I believe baseball is the only sport that could happen, and the SEC is the only league that could happen in. And so we've been tested, I won't say broken, but, been beaten up a little bit. And you keep going, you keep responding. And yesterday's game has nothing to do with tomorrow's game unless you let it. And so our job is to keep improving, keep the right mindset, keep competing, keep their energy underneath them and their focus underneath them, and go for it. And these guys care a lot. And it's reflected, I guess, maybe in how they talk about handling the situation.
Coach, the depth of your squad has kind of been shown throughout the year. I think last night kind of showed up again when we watched Travinsky play first base last night. It doesn't really come as a surprise because of how hot he's been. It's hard to keep that bat off the field. Is that something we should look for to see even more as you keep going here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if anybody, which I know you guys do, pay attention a lot, I've been playing him a lot lately. And we should be playing him a lot lately because the ability to change the game obviously is there with one swing. The difference is he's not a guy with talent. He's a great hitter right now. And, really adds a lot of length to the lineup. Not only is he driving balls in the gap and over the fence, he's getting a lot of singles with 2 outs, line drive, standing approach. He's seeing the ball really, really well. And I really like seeing him come up there. He was puking his guts out and had to get an IV the other day on Sunday, which was unfortunate. We had to take him out of the game because it would have been nice to have him up there in the 9th inning. But it is what it is. But he's okay. Obviously, he played last night, and really, really happy with his progression. I really want to praise his attitude too. Sometimes as an older player, it's hard to not be in there at the forefront, and he wasn't, just because he's been basically hurt for a year and a half. And we have other good players. Brady Neal's a really good player. Alex is a really good player. And so it was kind of hard to get Hayden in there, but he just stayed ready. He kept working, was a team-first guy, and I could kind of start to see some improvement coming, and we've stuck him in there, and he's doing a great job right now.
Coach, Javen Coleman gets to start again on on Saturday. He got to start last Sunday. I feel like he was pretty effective. What can we expect from him? Is he starting to lengthen out a little bit more, or is he still on a pretty strict pitch count and pretty short leash?
Well, we're just not going to know until we get there. And what I mean by that is we were moving in that direction. We went ULL, Ole Miss, Alabama. We were in a great spot, and we kept moving up. We were at about 42 or 45 pitches against Alabama. Then he threw the first inning against Auburn, and then had a massive drop in his velocity and his command in the second inning. We had to take him out. It wasn't there. So we made the decision this week, depending on how the first 2 games went, to start him so he could get his full routine of throwing, everything he needs to do to get him ready to pitch. He knew he was taking the mound at 1:02 p.m. And that seemed to work a little bit better and allowed him to move through 2 2/3 and 50 pitches. But we're probably not going to know until we get there. And that's okay, because I'm happy with any contribution we can get from him right now.
Coach, it's been pretty apparent that teams have not been afraid to put Dylan on, even with who's been hitting behind him and what he's done on the year. Would you say it's a fair assessment to say the guys that are hitting in front of him are a very, very, very big part in getting him back on track and getting him where he can play at the top of his game?
Yeah, and that's why, you get two old guys. You got guys that have had as many college at-bats as anybody else. And, you need them to run really good ones. And for the most part, they have. Part of the thought and Sunday in the ninth inning in bunting was like Trey Morgan's going to get a fastball to hit. He just has to hit a line drive instead of a fly ball, and he hit a line drive that just hung up in the air too long. But those guys have done a good job. They're great players. They don't get talked a lot about because of Dylan and Tommy. And when you get two hitters like that, that's how that happens. But yeah, they're invested. They're running team at bats. They got outside of it a little bit last night and didn't allow us to function at the top of the order as well as we want to. The bottom of the order actually is the reason we won the game for the most part, which is just shows how good an offensive lineup we have. But yeah, we really need Gavin and Trey to run really good at bats because it puts Dylan in a position to be successful. And I've hit him third for most of the year because I just want him coming up with as many guys on base as possible. And we think those guys give us a chance to do that.
But you mentioned both those guys, and you mentioned them a little bit after the game yesterday and how they're kind of banged up. Obviously, you're in the last 3 games of the regular season. Baseball's a long year. People don't think that baseball is as physical as it actually is. And, at this point in the season, everybody's got bumps and bruises, and everybody's kind of dragging a little bit, and they're just trying to get through to be able to get that next season started, so to say, in the postseason. What's the status of the guys that are a little bit banged up? Obviously, Gavin had banged up his shoulder a little bit, stayed in the game. Trey Morgan's been, banged up a tad. Obviously, he's not showing it. They're fighting through it. What's the status on these guys? How are they feeling? And how looking forward are you and these guys to this 3 or 4 day break before the SEC tournament?
Yeah, that's one of the main motivations is to, see if we can get that extra day by not having to play till Wednesday to get an opportunity for those guys to recover. And they're playing through stuff, and there's probably like 5 or 6 of them that are doing that, and they're tough. And so we don't talk about it, but it kind of limits some things that they can do and we can do that, I'm not going to talk about because it's not a competitive advantage for us to do that. But they're the grinders. They're awesome. We've won 80 games here in 2 years, and the reason is because of Dylan and Trey and Jordan and Gavin, and all these guys are playing through something, and you wouldn't even know it. And that's the type of people and tough competitors that they are.
Coach, obviously it's all hands on deck for every game that you have this weekend to finish out the regular season slate. Would you say that the outcome of this weekend has a good bit to do with how you schedule the pitching matchups going towards the SEC tournament?
Yeah, it could, but I know this is going to sound a little strange, but we want to play so we can keep improving and getting better. Yep. And it might not seem like the thing you're supposed to be thinking about, but for us, it always comes back to that. We don't validate ourselves by our record or our standing or our ranking or anything. It's like how we're doing what we think we need to do to play well in the game to win. And, there's some things that we need to do better right now, things we've done well throughout the year that we can get back to, and some things we just need to do better than we have throughout. So, we kind of want to go for it. It doesn't mean, just blow everything out and not worry about the NCAA tournament. But if we can play 3 or 4 games while we're down there, I think that might be a good thing for our team.
Coach, you played Georgia this weekend. Georgia was a very hot team about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They seemed like they were kind of making their push to make a run at being a top 16 seed, a top 25 team. And then they had a couple setbacks. They got swept at Missouri. They're a very, very talented team. They have a freshman redshirt freshman who's got 20-plus home runs. What does Georgia do? It seems like a lot of teams are starting to say, all right, Paul Skeens we're not going to be able to, if we don't have a bona fide ace, we're not going to be able to beat him. So we're going to put a guy there, and we're going to put our other starters on Saturday and Sunday, or second and third starters. This weekend you face 3 lefties. What does Georgia pose? What challenges does Georgia pose to y'all?
Yeah, I think from a mindset, I think we've gotten everybody's best shot
Yeah,
for whatever
absolutely.
rhyme or reason. But I mean, they're on life support, and you know, you back not because they're a dog, but you back a dog into the corner, they're gonna scratch, claw, and try to bite you, and
Right.
all that. They have no choice but to go for it and win. You know, in terms of their NCAA tournament hope. So you know, you're gonna get a highly competitive team. They have an old team, so I'm sure this is a lot of guys last time they're going to play at home. So they have some good emotional, pull stuff for this weekend. As far as their lineup, it's very veteran. It's very much the same as the team that we played last year in Baton Rouge, and they're all just a year older. You mentioned Charlie Condon. He's one of the best hitters in the country right now. And then pitching-wise, again, as I look through this, they have talent and they have ability. And so we have to take really good at-bats. We have to play defense, and pitchers have to throw strikes and execute. And excited to do that.
Yep. Coach, listen, I know you've had a long day. You had a travel day. You had practice. Again, I appreciate all of your time. I appreciate your generosity with your time. Good luck this weekend. We're going to be watching. Hopefully, obviously y'all do what y'all are expected to do, and y'all win, and y'all get that top 4 seed. Y'all get an extra day, and then hopefully we see y'all in Hoover. I say hopefully because we're trying to get the boys together. You know how it is. Sometimes Lloyd, you don't know where he's going to be sometimes, and
such a ricochet shot for no reason, Coach.
Straight bullets.
Yeah, well,
get it together, man.
Oh,
Hey, let's go.
That's it. That's it.
Pack up the car and
That's
let's
it.
get there.
Let's go.
Great for road trips.
Great for road trips. You are a great road trip
Don't
guy.
drive.
Coach, I appreciate your time. Enjoy Athens. We'll see you in Hoover. Good luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Oh,
What?
Went to me. Camera.
Oh.
So it's going to you.
Very nice of him to hurry up and get home and give us a little quick interview.
Definitely.
Very nice of him.
I think he showered.
He just, you know how over
baseball
conversations
talk?
he has right now because he's just.
It's that time of the year for everyone.
Yeah, he's like, hey, can we just y'all do what y'all need to do so we can just get to the postseason and make our run, please? Because I feel like that's just he doesn't say it and he does a very good job of like staying even keel, but that's just the mindset that I think that he's got. Like,
hey, he did give us one little nugget there that he hasn't given us all year. I do think you could see Kling, Pearson, whoever else has been at the top of the lineup throughout the year have a 5-for-5 game with 5 homers and won't matter. He basically just told us that it's going to be Gavin, Trey, Dylan, Tommy
for the veterans
for the rest of the year. He basically just said that. Like, we didn't ask him straight up names, and that's the only 2 he named at the top in front of him. So kind of let you know that right there. Like, that's going to be his top 3, top 4, if you will, ride or die, and that's kind of how he's going to go about this.
Interested to see what happens the third start with Javen. Because you mentioned he was like, look, we had him on a great path, and all of a sudden like he's going through that little bit of a dead arm period. He gets through and his velocity drops, and so they're protecting him. Now they kind of put him on a schedule. Hey, you're going to pitch on Sunday. Let's see what happens. I hope he's able to sustain the velocity and kind of gets over that little hump because him going into the postseason like feeling really good with himself, I think it's a huge boost to the rotation.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I mean, you know how it is. You've seen it in pro ball. Those guys that come back from TJ, when they put them in the bullpen, usually, even if they were a starter before and they say, hey, we're going to ease you into this thing, or they were a bullpen guy, when those guys come back, it's usually you don't get back-to-backs. They kind of know when they're going to pitch because it is tough, man. It's already tough enough to kind of get yourself up and going, and then it's tough enough to get through that dead arm period and, I don't feel great when you're 100% healthy. Try doing it 13 months after surgery, right? So I do think, he's probably seeing like, okay, well, this is what he can handle right now. This is probably going to work better for us, and we need him. And this spot needs him. So can we get the best out of him in that situation? So we'll see if that continues to help him.
It's gonna be an exciting series. I think you're gonna see LSU bounce back big in a big way.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun.
In a big way.
I do.
All right. Well, we have our segments. Lloyd, you ready? Do you have one for your segment?
Of course, I would always anything for the sponsor.
Okay.
Which is
Mistake of the Day is brought to you by who?
Doe's Eat Place.
Doe's Eat Place.
And I do have a mistake of the day. And this is all allegedly, but
allegedly,
seeing how things are going with old John Moran, I wouldn't put it past his team or him to put out a statement, maybe using some technology that has recently come out to make things a little bit easier on everybody. And Adrian Wojnarowski will Woj-bomb because this has been the talk of the NBA even while the playoffs are going on. It's bizarre. But
What is it?
Gilbert with the John Morant second-time incident in not that long of a time, John Morant's statement, I know I've disappointed a lot of people who have supported me. This is a journey, and I recognize there's more work to do. My words may not mean much right now, but I take full accountability for my actions. I've committed to continue to work on myself. If you put how do I issue an apology for something I just recently did and have to apologize for again, this is the first search that comes up on ChatGPT. So somebody typed in John Morant situation.
Who thinks about that?
People on the internet.
They said make an apology paragraph that you got caught again.
Yes.
And that's what happened.
So if you put that in.
That's the result.
So somebody on John Morant's team thought, not a bad team.
No, that's pretty good thought process.
Big copy and paste guys.
Yeah. So I doubt that'll get any
copy and paste
I
guys.
doubt that'll get any national run. But just when the hits keep coming, they just keep coming.
I mean, listen,
can't
dude,
catch a break.
What are we
doing?
That's his friend's fault.
His friend moved the camera. That's not his fault.
And I did see, it is, but I did see something the other day which I thought was crazy to me. I guess there was a screenshot that was going around from.
Can't prove that it's real.
From the
Can't
second
prove the
thing.
gun is real. It could be a fake gun.
No, you can't. But here's the thing: there was a screenshot that came up from the second one that right after he was in the thing, someone took a screenshot of and you can see the amount of people that was watching it live. It's 140 something.
140 something people. I know. Why?
So we're over here just risking millions of generational wealth
for 140 people.
For 140 people. That's
think you're
crazy.
Surround yourself with some better people, man.
That's crazy.
Well, that's why there's only 140 people. If he goes live from Jobs IG, that thing's on and popping.
Yeah, I saw there was a tweet from a
Which is
Bulls
even
fan
more
page,
reason to not pull out a
like,
gun and it's not yours.
Right.
There was a Bulls fan page. They're like, I think John needs a new star. Like, what if the Bulls traded for him? So I was like, that's the last place he needs to be.
He need to be in New Orleans or Chicago.
I mean, Memphis ain't much better.
No, but that's like I said. That's on his friend.
No, but Chicago is like bringing an alcoholic to the liquor store.
Yeah. Which
That's
I
a
might
tough
have
look,
to do
man.
for.
That's a tough look.
It's tough.
Dylan Cruz.
Tough look.
Either way. Tough.
That's a good mistake of the day.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dive deep into these.
Yeah, I know you do. A lot of hard work into that.
Yeah.
Our Curtain Call is brought to you by our friends down at Assured Partners.
And who?
And not me.
Okay.
And me. I've been grinding, Coach. Been grinding in the insurance world.
I'm going to lead this thing off here.
Lead it off.
He's been kind of the looked over man. The line last night, you could probably kind of look over as well. But for the way the last month has gone and out of the bullpen, and I get it, this wasn't a bullpen opportunity, but we spoke about this guy thinking we'd probably see him a lot more in the weekend. I'm going to give my hats off a little bit to Blake Money a little bit. He's been the forgotten man this year. He's been the kind of one talked about in bad ways because of, I guess, the role that he played last year and how it's been reduced this year some. But in a situation where, like we said, out of the bullpen, where you're looking for someone to go out there and consistently compete and give you a shot, he's shown that a lot more, especially through the second half of the year. And don't be surprised if you see him play a significant role in what they do late in the year and in this playoff push.
I like it.
I have one. Somebody I played high school ball with, graduated with, Brock Bartholomew, was able to pitch an Alex box last night.
This is like a double.
Something we always, talked about, obviously, going through high school. And we don't have to really talk about how it went.
I was going to say, it's like a dual mistake of the day and a curtain call.
But the memory's there.
Mistake of the day.
So is a neck brace, but the memory's
He was the one that gave up the back-to-back jacks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Sorry, Brock. I didn't mean that. That's a straight shot. I didn't mean to do that to you.
That's how much he loves LSU.
That's it.
He was just giving out souvenirs.
No doubt. No doubt.
Actually, the first one went out the stadium.
Damn, Curtain Call, now you're going for his throat right now.
Your boy's going at your neck right now.
Give that man a microphone.
All right, I like it. Curtain Call, your boy. And for the homers you gave up.
I got yours pulled up.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, so I can get mine up as well.
All right, my curtain call is to Dylan Cruz. Not because he's hitting over 400, not because he's probably going to be the number one overall pick in the draft, but because he's an all-time good dude. Last night, courtesy of Leah Van. She tweets this, and they had a Dylan Cruz tailgate, right? And the tailgate was put on by a bunch of kids and families. Throughout the course of the year, Dylan Cruz has partnered with Families Helping Families, and he has provided tickets for these special needs children who have come periodically throughout the game. So these families all got together and had a tailgate honoring Dylan Cruz, and it just goes to show you that not only is he very good on the field, he is an absolute superstar in everything he does, right? The way he handles himself, the way he goes about his business, the way he interacts with everybody that he comes in contact with, that is the sign of a bona fide superstar, to be able to have the talent and be able to have the personality and the generosity and just that type of aura around you says a lot. And I'm a huge fan of his, obviously. I've gotten to know him over the last few years. And so when I saw this, I was like, man, this is what we created the curtain call for. It's to give out, shout outs to really good things.
And my curtain call, just an all-time celebration.
And now we'll bring it back down.
My curtain call goes
Maybe
to...
we should have switched those. That would have been
a nice way to end it. But I like to end it on a Selly. Obviously, this is...
Always a cleanup hitter.
Yes. This goes out to Spurs Nation, I guess. They're watching the...
Oh, that's the one you're doing, huh?
Yeah, I thought you were going to go with the other one.
Oh, I should have. Yeah, this is probably better for the brand.
That would have been true Lloyd.
Yeah.
This is a celebration of the
getting there. I think it's where he wanted to go.
Did they already know? Did it already get leaked that they had gotten it?
I don't think so. Look at this place.
Elimination, I think.
Yeah, they do. They go all the way up, so they were the last team left.
So they're watching the second pick, and then
that's the reaction to the number two pick being.
Good for them.
Man's popping bottles.
Old Pop's gonna be back in championship championship form over there.
And Lloyd said stay for the after hours version. He'll give the other curtain call.
Yes.
You want to give the curtain call to the other one too, or no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I know you want this one bad. So
I did, but it didn't feel like the right time to do it after such a...
This is Lloyd Unchained.
Yeah, this. I should have gone first. Obviously, the PGA Championship is this weekend, so anytime you get...
All the live guys get to play in it?
All the live guys are here. One in particular who has been asked about his recent back injury, and they asked him how it happened. Was it swinging a club? Was it training? And he was lifting up a kid, and he just kind of smiled and laughed for a little bit. And DJ usually doesn't answer questions or really play to the media all that often.
But Live Golf maybe has opened up his ability to do that.
I would think so. And so here's his answer. Oh no!
You got restarted.
Yeah. And here we go.
I'm done.
Nope.
I don't know how to. Hi, Dustin. I don't know how to.
There he goes. Now play.
What'd you do to your back?
There you go.
What is it?
I pulled a muscle. Lower back.
Swinging a club or lifting up a kid?
Yeah, lifting up a kid. Just a bigger kid.
I'm sure.
I'm done.
I'm sure Wayne was happy about that. Not that he doesn't know.
I don't think Wayne cares.
No, I've heard Wayne is like the coolest guy of all time.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
I got to know him a little bit. I got to drink with him. I told you that story.
No.
I never told you that story. When I was when I made my debut in Miami, in Tampa. Like I was playing for Tampa. I made my major league debut in Miami.
Miami flu?
Huh?
Miami flu?
No. So we were playing, and the next series was in Toronto, and so.
Dude, great back-to-back cities.
Oh, it was great. So we fly from Miami to Toronto, and when we were in Tampa, like the hotel that we stayed in Toronto is the Ritz-Carlton, which is awesome, and it's like walking distance from the stadium, the whole deal. And so we're sitting in there, and I had just finished. Actually, I just got my first hit, right? I hit a homer. And, like, we had come in, we had lost the game. So we're walking back.
Your first hit was a homer?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember that.
Uh-huh. And so we're coming back in from the game. We had lost. So some of the guys like are in the bar and they're having a couple drinks. And technically, my first 2 hits in the big leagues were home runs. I went 1 for my third at bat, hit a homer.
Yeah.
Then I didn't get another hit until my 13th at bat, which was a homer.
Kid likes to show up in grand fashion.
2 home runs. And so we're sitting there and we're at the bar.
What did you do in your first start ever at LSU?
2 homers.
On the stage.
Just put me in there. Just put me in there, coach. If you want to win, let booby spin. You know what I mean? So we're walking to the bar, and we're like, is that Wayne Gretzky at the bar? And yeah, it is. So then we go up to the bar to have a couple drinks, and Wayne's probably about 5 or 6 deep at this point. So he's feeling himself. We sit at the bar. All of a sudden, we start chatting it up. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, we're just pulling him back with Wayne at the bar, just getting a little drunk with him, and it was awesome. He is great.
That's awesome.
The stories were awesome, and of course, me being me, did not get an autograph or anything from him.
That's one that you almost have to ask for.
That's a very
pretty
Mikey
on
move.
brand right there.
That's very Mikey move.
Yeah.
A whole career, I said, I'm not going to be that guy to ask other guys that I play against to buy I'm not going to buy their jersey and just get them signed, even though other people do it. I was like, I'll just do it later on. All of a sudden, I'm no longer playing baseball, and I've gotten 0 jerseys signed by anybody because I'm an idiot, right? Like I played against Trout, I played against Pujols. My welcome to the big leagues moment was I got walked in Anaheim, and I battled back from an 0-2 count, and Albert Pujols on first base, and he tapped me on the ass, like, "Good at bat, kid. Good AB." I'm like,
he picked you off.
Thanks. No, I didn't pick me off. But like Trout, I was
and Mikey winked at him.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
That's what I do.
And then I was playing right field when Big Poppy does 500 homer. Like, it's just I had these opportunities. I played with Mikie. Nothing. I'm just an idiot. Nothing.
I figured that would have been your curtain call, even though Dylan deserves it. But Mikie was huffing it.
Hustling, bro. Still got in him.
2 oldest people in the league. Cliff Lee's older than he is. Not
Cliff Lee's not playing anymore.
What's his name?
Cliff Lee, he ain't playing
Rich Hill.
Rich Hill.
Almost close. Well, Cliff Lee. Well, they're both lefties.
Rich Hill was in the Atlantic League before me, and he's still in the big leagues. How's that happen? Riddle me that.
I played against him coming up in the minor leagues, and then he got released, and then all of a sudden now he's in the big leagues pitching for a long time.
Just spinning the shit out of it.
Big breaking ball. But, all right. Great show today.
Damn.
And enjoy I know you're trying to do.
No, I'm good. I got work to do.
Enjoy the weekend. There's gonna be no show here live on Friday. But the series starts tomorrow. Enjoy baseball game tomorrow. Enjoy Saturday. Enjoy the Sunday off of not having to stress over is LSU going to figure out how to win the series or not.
More time for them to get
Take a little bit of a break, and then you have Hoover coming up. So enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the playoff game that's going on as we speak. And we will be back live on Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. in the studio. Appreciate all the support. Like and subscribe to our page, please. If you don't like watching us or you can't watch us, please, we're anywhere you get your podcast. We appreciate the support. Appreciate all the love from our sponsors. And, we will see you all next week. Peace.
Bye. Well, bye-bye.